Representative Bly, thanks for joining us again today.
You're welcome.
How difficult was it deciding to retire from the legislature at the end of 2018?
Well, it was a tough decision. It's something I thought about over the last year. And a number of things went into my decision. I've thoroughly enjoyed being a representative, being a part of state government. Has been a pleasure being able to help my constituents in a variety of ways, being able to bring their voice to the Capitol and talk with my fellow legislators about what I think and what my constituents think is important. But as I looked at the kind of future, I'm 66. My name's been on the ballot for the last 15 years, and I think it was time for me to let someone else have a chance. I also look at the coming elections and thinking that whoever my replacement might be, deserves a chance to be elected at this particular time, before the next presidential election, and also before the next census, and then the redistricting that will happen. So my hope is that they are able to take advantage of those things. What makes it tough as well is there's some unfinished business that I would say I have. I'm a strong supporter of a health plan that would be beneficial. I'm the House author of the Minnesota Health Plan, and that's modeled after a single payer system, and I think it would make it more affordable. It would allow us some control over the prices of health care, and I'd be fairer for everybody. Everyone who's a citizen of Minnesota will be able to have access to health care. I also recognize that I'm an advocate for small family farms, and that's something that I'm not sure that there's as strong a voice from outstate as I've been, and it's hard to leave that behind. I've done a considerable amount of reading over the years I've been here, and the divisiveness and the polarization in our country and in our state is disturbing. And I've done a lot of work thinking about how we have a society and a government that supports what I call a middle class economy. And that's something I've written about and I've talked about, and to kind of leave the fight about that, I'm going to have to find other ways that I can continue to have a voice about those things. I think about a book I read by Anne Husheld called Strangers in Their Own Land, where she talks about visiting with people in Louisiana who vote with Tea Partiers or whatever, and as she would say, they seem to vote against their own interests anyway, or they blame government for the problems that they have. She also describes their belief that there's a line where we advance towards the middle class, and many of these people felt that government allows other people to get in front of them. And what I struggle with is we really should be thinking about, how do we all get there? Can we construct a society or an economy where we aren't leaving some people out or some people behind, but we advance together? And that's why the title of my book is We All Do Better.
Are the issues or priorities that were important to you when you first were elected in 2006 the same as we sit here today in 2018?
A number of them are the same. I mean, I think my interest in what I call a middle class economy, an economy that can support a middle class. Aristotle said that you can't have a democracy without a strong middle class. I think that's true. It's important to have those values, those interests supported, and going forward. But I don't think I entered the legislature with that as my central issue. I was more interested in things like climate change and the environment and health care. Those are things I was hearing about from my constituents. But as I researched it when I got here, in fact, it was the first question that I asked the legislative research what's happening to the income gap in our state? And they indicated that prior to 2000, Minnesota was an outlier. We had a very small gap between the very wealthy and the middle class. But since then, things have made it so that we're just like every other state. And so that led me to think that we should do something about this.
You spent much of your time sitting on education and agriculture committees. Are you pleased with the work that has been accomplished in those areas over your time here, or is there more work to be done?
Yes, there's more work to be done. I think in education, because of my experience working with students that really struggled in school from mental health issues or from economic issues that they faced, or just falling behind in school, I think there's a lot of things we can do to improve the situation for them. I'm a great admirer of the Finnish school system, and they develop a couple principles that they think are really important, and one of them is equity, making sure that everybody has the same opportunities in education. And that doesn't mean that everyone has the same education, but it means everyone has kind of equal opportunity. The other is trust. They want people to be able to trust each other, whether you're a teacher or a student or a parent, that you have a good feeling about the people who are working in that system. So those are things I think that that we struggle with and that we need to improve. With agriculture, I'm an advocate for those farmers who really, I think, by example, show that they are good stewards of the land and care about the environment. And we develop an agricultural system that I think is driven by corporate interest primarily, and is producing a cropping system that makes it difficult to be more concerned about the water quality and things like that. So it's not that farmers don't want to do that. I think it just makes it more difficult, and I think they need help with that.
I wanted to ask you about this. In a statement, you said, "My primary focus has been to ensure everyone has the opportunity to do better than those who came before them, and to leave them a better world for those who come after." Have you fulfilled this?
Well, I don't know if anyone really ever achieves a goal like that. It's something I'll continue to strive for, even when I'm outside the legislature. Again, as I was saying before, it's an issue of making sure that our government takes that as a goal. When we only pursue kind of one aspect of our economy, those who perhaps are doing well, and assume that they will take care of the rest of us, I think that's short-sighted. I think we have to make sure that there are opportunities, and the governments can step in and protect people from being exploited or being mistreated by others in the economy.
And will your approach to this session be any different, knowing that you won't be back in 2019?
Well, I might hold back less. I hope that I can go out speaking strongly about the issues I care about, and pushing for the kind of change that I'd like to see happen.
And just finally, where's life going to take you after your time here?
Well, I'm going to see. I mean, as I said before, there are a number of things that I hope to continue to work on and hope to continue to champion. I also, since I was 14, I wanted to be a creative writer. And I've done some of that along the way, but I've also found things that get in the way of that. And I'm at a point in my life where I probably can pursue that without much obstruction. So I'm hoping that I can refrain from putting too many obstacles in my way there, and do some writing that I've wanted to do for a long time.